Welcome to another episode of 7 Minutes of Bond Locations. I'm Martin Mulder for OnTheTracks007.com, and in this episode we will take a closer look at the filming locations in Scotland. So grab your bagpipes, your whiskey and your kilt and follow me to Glasgow. The Scots are mighty proud of their heritage and their national treasure, Sean Connery. The actor who recently passed away was born in Edinburgh at 176 Fountain Bridge. The block was demolished in the 1960s, but the site where it once stood now holds a plaque marking his childhood home. Even though Edinburgh is surely the more interesting city and the capital, our journey starts in Glasgow, which is the largest city. From Glasgow, when using your own car or a rental, all the Bond locations are within easy reach. The first time Scotland could be seen in a Bond film was at the end of From Russia with Love. More about the Turkish locations can be seen in the second episode of 7 Minutes of Bond Locations, dealing with Istanbul. So originally scheduled to be filmed in Turkey, the scenes in which Bond and Tanya are on the run and are being attacked by a Spectre helicopter were eventually filmed in Scotland, as was the boat chase in which Bond fires a flare gun at the floating fuel barrels. Hampered by bad weather and by rough seas, director Terence Young had already lost many valuable days. Almost completely through his budget, Young convinced the producers that it would be far easier and cheaper to shoot the end of the movie in Scotland, which he had remembered as looking quite similar to the Turkish countryside. Within a few days, everyone was on their way back to the UK. Destination, Scotland. 45 minutes north of Glasgow, you can pass Faslane Naval Base. It was the base that a tiny scene in The Spy Who Loved Me was filmed at, in which Roger Moore arrives by helicopter and a submarine base. Continuing your journey, your first destination is Lochgilphead, where the former Empire Cinema was rented by Eon in 1963 to provide the crew with a base where they could watch the daily rushes. The production's home base in Scotland would be Crinan. The touristic coastal town looks out across Loch Crinan to Doune Castle, which was originally considered as a filming location for Skyfall. In October 2011, the owners of the house reported in the press that the castle would feature in the finale of the film, that it was supposed to be Bond's ancestral home. Apparently, at some point, the Skyfall production team changed its mind. Due to the unreliability of the Scottish weather, Terence Young had decided to move back and forth between two different locations, thus working on different scenes at the same time. Of course, at Crinan they were working on the motorboat chase, while at the hills above Lochgilphead they were working on the helicopter chase scene. So let's focus on that one first. This remote location can be best reached by foot. On the A816, almost halfway between Lochgilphead and Kilmartin, you find an exit to Kilmichael Glacier. Follow this road through Kilmichael Glen, and after 3 kilometers, when the road bends to the left, you should take the exit on the right, towards the tiny hamlet of Lochgilphead. A single-lane road leads past a few houses and then it becomes a gravel road. After passing another few houses, the road will start to climb, and suddenly you will face a metal fence. Immediately after the fence, the road becomes a dirt track, which can best be travelled by foot. When you walk all the way up, you will get to the exact spot where Connery had to dive for his life. I, of course, was stubborn enough to take the rental car up. We barely made it to the top and back, but that's a story of its own. In the meantime, the motorboat chase was being filmed off-coast of Crinan, at the Sound of Jura and the Firth of Lorne. The wide shots of the Spectre boats chasing 007 were filmed between the islands of Gavelax and Lunga, where the exploding Spectre boats were filmed at Loch Cranish. These scenes were preceded by the arrival of the damaged flour truck at the pier or jetty where Grant's escape boat is waiting. This jetty can be found on the grounds of Lunga House. Laird Colin Lindsay MacDougall of Lunga still is the owner of Lunga Estate and vividly remembers the days when the film crew took over his house and his office at no charge actually. According to the house visitor book, the cast and crew worked here from July 5 to July 7, 1963. According to Colin, they spent most of the time playing cards in the boathouse, first waiting for the weather to clear and later for a new helicopter to arrive. The latter was due to an incident that happened on July 6th, right behind Lunga Estate, in which director Terence Young almost lost his life when his helicopter failed to take off and landed on its side in the water. Leaving Lunga Estate behind us, we travel north on the A816 towards Oban. 25 kilometers north of Oban, you will pass the picturesque Castle Stalker, a privately owned 4-story tower house set on a tidal islet of Loch Lech. You might instantly recognize this as the Castle Ah from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Our next stop is a popular tourist destination and one of the most scenic areas in Scotland, Glencoe. The 16 kilometers long glen, with all its scenic qualities, is a real treat for hikers and climbers from all over the world. Ian Fleming gave his hero Scottish roots by saying his father was Andrew Bond of Glencoe, and this was reason enough for Ian to bring Bond back to this area in Skyfall. The short but important scene in Skyfall between Bond and M was filmed on a side road of the A82. A bit further down that road you will reach Lunga House. This magnificent estate was owned by the 15th biggest landowner in the Highlands, the Fleming family, and served as an inspiration for Bond's ancestral home, Skyfall. Leaving beautiful Glencoe behind us, we move on, back to the A82 in northern direction towards Fort William. And if you consider a short stay in this town, you might want to take a sidestep to see some highlights from another very successful franchise. Either by car or by train, you can visit the impressive 21-arched Glenfinnan Viaduct, made famous by the Harry Potter films. Our Scottish Bond locations tour moves on further north, where we find Scotland's most photographed castle, Eilean Donan. This beautiful castle served as the exterior of MI6's Scottish headquarters in The World Is Not Enough. Promoted as Scotland's most romantic castle, Eilean Donan also featured prominently as the main character's castle in the 1986 film Highlander and in Sean Connery's 1999 film Entrapment. While the list of films made in Scotland is endless, I can really recommend a short last stop on your way back to Glasgow. 40 minutes north of Glasgow, a little town called Doune. You can visit Doune Castle there. It's well known for featuring in the Monty Python film Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the rabbit scene, quite famous. Hi there, I'm doing this show about Scotland. Do you mind giving me a ride?
Get in.
Well, that was it for this week. Thanks for watching. See you next time. It's a bumpy ride, isn't it? No radio?
Are you going to complain the whole way?
You mind if I sing myself then? Underneath the mango. Check out onthetracksof007.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.